Good evening and welcome to the 531st episode of Travel Itch Radio and the first one of Travel Itch Video. I'm your host, Dan Schlossberg, along with Roger Noriega, our producer, pinch hitting for co-host Maryellen Nugent Lee. This is our first episode in the 13th season of Travel Itch Radio, the show that lets you enjoy the pleasures of travel from the comfort of your armchair.
Every week at this time, we talk to people representing destinations, hotels, airlines, railroads, car rental companies, and others in the world of travel and hospitality, from authors and bloggers to broadcasters and publicists. If it's got anything to do with travel, it's got everything to do with Travel Itch Radio.
Our guest tonight is Bill Simmons, the general manager of the Union Station Nashville Yards, a great place to stay, whether or not you like trains as much as I do. Welcome back, Bill, to Travel Itch Radio, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to both of you, gentlemen. Dan and Roger, thank you for having me. And I know some of you are only going to be hearing this on the audio feed, but I have to tell you, your backgrounds, both of you, are phenomenal, and showing off a pretty cute hotel in the background as well. So we're excited to talk about our beautiful place here in Nashville.
I can second that. Travel Itch Radio listeners know I love trains, trolleys, streetcars, funiculars, monorails, or anything on tracks. So staying at the Union Station Nashville Yards is almost like sleeping in a Pullman. When I was there last month, I heard the soothing sounds of trains rumbling by and occasionally tooting all night. Didn't the hotel start as an actual train station?
It did, yeah. So obviously you know your history. So we once served as Nashville's kind of central train terminal for the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, shortened as LUNA, which now is our main entrance to the hotel. So it was the former carriage entrance where luggage and supplies were dropped off to the station. The front desk today was originally the newspaper stand. And if you look throughout our hotel, you see history kind of in live and in person. So our lobby area, or lobby bar area, I should say, was originally used as the ticket counter. You can see the spots where the barber used to be, the shoe shine stand. And then our fifth floor, which is probably my favorite floor in the entire hotel, are 18-foot ceiling rooms. And those used to be the administrative offices for the L&N Railway. So real history, especially for those fifth floor rooms, but really throughout the entire property.
Now, when was it built and when did it become a hotel?
So it started in the late 19th century. Construction, I believe, began in 1898 and then opened as that central train station, as we talked about, in 1900. The last train passed through the building in 1979, and then we opened as a hotel originally in 1986, and then as a Marriott Autograph Collection in 2012. But as you mentioned, we are right smack dab still next to the rail yard. Not interfering with our guest comfort and luxury, of course, but it is a beautiful thing to still be a part of something that is also part of history as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but trains still pass there, but don't stop there because there's another railroad passenger station near the river in Nashville.
That's correct. Yeah. So we are not an active station, but certainly part of our immersive storytelling as the original train station back in 1900.
The Union Station Nashville Yards belongs to Historic Hotels of America, one of my favorite organizations because it's more than 50 years old and meets certain standards of excellence. Can you explain?
Yeah, we share the same passion. There's some awesome properties that are out there. So we became a member in 2015. I believe now a little over 300 active members, and it really just recognizes Union Station as kind of faithfully maintaining that authenticity, a sense of place, and really that architectural integrity. And I know we've talked about that before, and excited to talk a little bit more about that today as well.
Isn't it also on the National Register of Historic Places?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, we're talking tonight with Bill Simmons, General Manager of the Union Station at Nashville Yards.
Let's talk architecture. Bill, the hotel has a Gothic design with towers, turrets, and a clock tower, complete with a statue of Mercury, Roman god of shopkeepers, merchants, travelers, and transporters of goods. But what's the story with the huge dome in your lobby?
Yeah, so look, our lobby it really strikes accord with our guests, with our locals. It really does kind of set us apart. We've been named in the top 25 historic domes and ceilings by Historic Hotels of America as well. So it's a nice award, but it's really just kind of an emotional feeling, right, when you do kind of come into our lobby. So it's 70 feet high, 6,000 square feet for that rooftop that you mentioned, with 128 panels of original curved stained glass. And then actually throughout the rest of our property, we have some original stained glass as well, manufactured by the Luminous Prism Company. It's stunning and meticulously preserved. And obviously, since we've been a hotel with our new ownership group, that's been a focal point for us as well, to make sure that we are showing off that beauty of the original part of the architecture.
You mentioned that the lobby ceiling is 70 feet high, but I understand it's also complete with gold leaf medallions and century-old original luminous prism glass.
Yeah, so no real lacking of detail. In fact, there's still stories that I'm learning even now, and I've been here at the hotel almost for a year. So, there are the original crown molding, different kind of storytelling aspects of our fifth floor that leads up to where you see the curved dome of the ceiling. So everything really kind of evokes the trade market, which obviously resembles kind of the old train travel coming in through our building for now over 100 years.
Wow, that is so cool. I also noticed in your lobby 3 limestone fireplaces and 2 bas-relief panels, a traveling chariot on one end, and a personal favorite, it is mine, a steam locomotive on the other. When first-time guests walk in, I bet they're overwhelmed by the interior design.
It's an impactful feeling, I would think. The first time I can remember when I walked in, it's an emotional moment, which to me is the true version of what hospitality should be, right? And when I speak to our associates for their orientation, is I have everyone kind of close their eyes, and we have to reimagine what that feeling was like the first time they walked into the hotel. So for our guests that are coming in, we want it to be a magical experience, not just with kind of taking in the architecture, but our job, right, is to also kind of provide that level of service as well. So, yeah, look, we're blessed with a beautiful building, but in my opinion, what kind of takes it from great to extraordinary is our level of guest service and making sure that they can't wait to tell their friends and family about how wonderful of a stay they actually had.
It's amazing just by the images. I understand the design includes something like 20 gold accented bas-relief Angel of Commerce figures.
That's right. It's a whole story. And in fact, we have an entire kind of walk the history portion of our hotel that we give to guests whenever they arrive. So, of course, we love walking guests around and kind of sharing some of those stories. My director of housekeeping is infamous for that. Some may argue that he just doesn't want to do his actual 9 to 5 job, but he's actually very good at it. But yeah, they all kind of tell a different story of the trade, from not only the kind of the Greek Roman times, but certainly of the early 1900s as well.
Early 1900s. And let's not forget the old hand operated flapping train schedule board moved from behind the front desk to the lobby bar.
That's right. It's a piece that's been around now and kind of had different spots of the hotel. So it's now in our lobby bar called Ergo. But it has some of the original train schedules. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So, trains going from Nashville to Chattanooga to Louisville to St. Louis. So it's something that we needed to really kind of preserve and keep for our guests. And it's, really interesting to see guests kind of come up and take pictures and even take selfies with it in the background for the former trains that pass through here every day. And in fact, 2 of our main meeting rooms right off of the lobby, one is called Southwind, one is called Hummingbird, which are old train names from the original train schedule.
That is cool. Travelage Radio listeners, we're talking tonight with Bill Simmons, General Manager, the Union Station at Nashville Yards.
Bill, we have to mention the marble floors too. Not too many hotels have those.
No, that's pretty rare, right? Anymore for a hotel to have and to preserve. I've been fortunate enough to work at some pretty incredible historical properties, and it's our job to kind of maintain, right, and make them sing. And we have rugs down in our lobby, not to totally encompass the area. Some of that helps with some sound pollution, quote unquote. But when we have weddings or different special events that, we take away some of our furniture that's in the lobby and maybe even some of that rug, and you can see that original marble that, hopefully, again, is our job to preserve. It really is another wow moment for our guests and for our clients.
Let's talk renovations. You redid all 125 rooms, and now you're focusing on upgrading the meeting facilities and your open air veranda, a great place for events and weddings when the weather's warm enough.
That's right. So we actually, great timing for your question, Dan. We're actually starting our project for our outdoor veranda, which will become an indoor veranda, open air, next week. So that's going to be a continuation of our wedding venue. So many of our guests, whenever they do get married here, it's just right in the middle of our lobby. And then the offshoot of that will be the veranda. So, full dance floor capability for close to 300 people. So for us as a 125 room hotel, it really speaks to the kind of events and high end events that we can perform for our guests and for our clients. So we're very, very excited. Due date for that is Q2 of this year.
Is it true that each of your rooms is different? Rooms and suites, I should say. And since everything seems to be railroad related, we'd love to hear about that conductor suite.
Yeah, they're all, I probably shouldn't use the word quirky, but they're a little quirky. They're a little bit different. And for us, it's, if you're a guest that comes in a standard room type, more than likely the next time you come, even if it's in quote unquote the same room type, it may be a little bit different, which we actually like. I think we embrace that as a team here at the hotel. So all vary in size and layout. Our newly designed conductor suite, which is kind of a presidential suite right above our lobby bar, is located on the 4th floor and actually features interior and exterior facing windows kind of overlooking the lobby. One of the design elements of that suite is Mercury as well, which we mentioned, that is up on our clock tower also. And it features a primary bedroom with a fireplace, a mirrored TV, a full wet bar, additional space for private dining, and another half bathroom off of that as well. So we're very proud of the way that turned out. Already done a few private events in that room, and we're excited to kind of show it off moving into the new year.
Does your bachelorette suite actually have bunk beds?
It does. So we debated on what to call these rooms. Do we call it bachelorette rooms, which obviously bachelorette parties are very popular in Nashville. We ended up just calling them our Broadway suites, and we're updating our room inventory on our vanity website right now. But it's a great way for friends or families to all congregate together in that space. And it's a little cheeky, it's a little fun, but it's very well done. High-end millwork for these bunk beds, and a beautiful space on some of our higher floors as well.
Hotel corridors remind me of luxury trains and romantic railway journeys. I hear they're part of your facelift as well.
Yeah, so we talk about details and storytelling. It's very important to us that there's no confusion when a guest comes in exactly what our ethos is, right? Of course, as a high-end luxury boutique hotel, it's always going to be service number one, but everything from calling our bellmen porters, to having a conductor's hour instead of a happy hour, to really kind of making everything immersive, in not only food and beverage but the rest of operations, is when you leave this hotel, there should be no confusion about kind of that immersive experience that you encounter while at our beautiful hotel.
You're tuned to Travel It Radio, now in our 13th season, but our first video enterprise. with Dan Schlossberg and Roger Noriega pinch hitting for co-host Maryellen Nugent Lee. Check us out on iTunes, LinkedIn, Instagram, or the Travelage Radio Facebook page, among other places. And we're talking tonight with Bill Simmons, General Manager of the Union Station at Nashville Yards.
As a former hub of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, wasn't your hotel's lobby dome actually designed by the L&N's chief engineer, Richard Montfort?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So, a building like this, any historical building, you always kind of feel like there's one name that's out there. But Richard Montfort certainly is that guy that, kind of takes a lot of the credit and certainly deservedly so, along with some of the rest of their team. So, you'll see that name kind of throughout this area. There's Cummins Station, which is right across the street from us. Which was kind of part of that railway area. Of course, the Frist Art Museum right next to us. So, when our renovation was complete this past year, we wanted to make sure that we honored his legacy as well. So we do now have a meeting room named after him as well. So right up on that fourth floor, you can see it from a lobby and our way of kind of honoring him and his handiwork all the way back in 1900.
Wow, that's impressive. Is it accurate to say your redesign married the structure's original Romanesque revival architecture with the Art Deco style of the station's heyday in the 30s?
Yeah, of course. But, I want to point out with some very interesting modern nods as well, right? We certainly don't want to be a museum, but we want to be kind of moving into the future and cater towards guest needs, but still honoring what makes us us. And I think it's a really beautiful fusion. So one of our rooms is actually an upside down bookshelf room. So if you can imagine up on the ceiling, you would have a bookshelf. It's completely upside down. It's whimsical. It's fun. It's actually kind of a nod to some of the libraries that were found in the old Pullman cars. Our hallway carpet is a nod to Scottish design, similar to the Scottish railway cars. Light sconces outside of each room that not only indicate the guest room, of course, but they're similar to the style of the 30s, as you mentioned, and some of the railway cars that had that very particular look. So all major and minor details were thought of to kind of evoke that beautiful history and be designed forward in every step of the way as well.
Speaking of that heyday, wasn't Al Capone one of the famous and notorious people who came through by train?
That's right. Apparently he was here a few times. He was a naughty boy, that Al Capone, and on his way to his multiple prisons, he made a few stops in Nashville. So it's been fun for us to kind of discover some of these old gems of who came through, what happened. I'll give you another one since you asked, Roger, is at one point there were some alligators in our hotel. Why there were alligators, I don't know, but there were some pools on the lower level that had some alligators as well. So yeah, Al Capone, certainly maybe some other nefarious characters came through, but for us, that's pretty fun. And I'll give you one more. Where our fitness center is on the first floor, that was actually the old holding prison in case they needed to use that for when it was an old train station as well. So a lot of hidden gems throughout the entire property.
Huh, no kidding. But mentioning alligators, and I don't know why, but that brings me to where can your guests eat today? I don't know why alligators, but
well, yeah, I would imagine it's delicious. I'm not sure that's on my general routine for nutrition, but yeah, we have a beautiful restaurant. It was actually in recent memory a meeting room that, quite frankly, just didn't sing to kind of the beauty of Broadway right out in front of us. It was kind of hidden, curtained off. So within the last few years, we've opened up that space, kept the pillars, kept the molding, reimagine it in a modern way, but still, a really, really beautiful space that we can do private dining in, complete buyouts for groups, but It's been a huge success for us within the last couple of years. I have an incredible executive chef named Brian Kersey, and we actually do brunch 7 days a week. And that's kind of a fun spin on, again, all the bachelorette parties that are coming in. Get your mimosa, get your Bloody Mary, but also have some delicious food, not to mention the incredible dinners that we provide here as well. So some great restaurants also that I think we talked about the last time I was on the show within walking distance. So you truly are kind of surrounded by the best of all worlds, not only within our four walls here at the hotel, but certainly within downtown Nashville as well.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Travel Itch Radio listeners, we're talking tonight with Bill Simmons, General Manager, the Union Station at Nashville Yards.
Bill, the Union Station Nashville Yards is part of Marriott International's autograph collection. What does that mean for the property?
I think really what that means is it's an established brand. It's a brand that people know and love. You know, your Bonvoy members are incredibly loyal. And that's actually a metric that we grade ourselves on as well is, of course, we want to be clean. We want to have great food. We want to provide excellent service. But our main metric is, are you going to recommend this hotel? And what we found with our partnership with Marriott and Marriott Bonvoy is there's a lot of great loyalty to that brand. So it certainly opens up a larger funnel for us. For guests to be able to, there's still as much as Nashville has been in the travel press and news for the last 5, 10, 15 years, excuse me, there's still a lot of folks who haven't visited Nashville, and we want to be able to welcome them in, especially those Marriott loyalty guests.
Since you're in Music City, how convenient is it for tourists to make the Union Station Nashville Yards their home away from home, or any of the famous Nashville locations within walking distance or at least a short drive away?
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. We consider our lobby to be Nashville's largest living room, right? Is we not only encourage our guests to congregate, co-work, have a cup of coffee, but we want our locals to do the same. I think there's a lot of hotels out there, unfortunately, that are a little bit more closed off. We have the opposite approach. It's come one, come all. We want you, even if you're not staying in the hotel, come in and have a cup of coffee, have a cocktail. And the beautiful part of our space is it really does encourage that in kind of a lounge-like upscale type of environment. I'll give you another little sneak preview. We're actually in the next month and a half going to be opening up a whiskey tasting room right off of our lobby as well. So that will also encourage guests to be able to enjoy that, locals to enjoy it. And then every day in the afternoon, we're actually, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a whiskey thief is, but it's a whiskey barrel that you dip a tool in, kind of what the master distillers used to use to sample the product. So we're going to have that same concept to allow our guests to be able to kind of sample, quote unquote, some whiskey for themselves as well, and then either turn that into a straight neat type of cocktail or take it right to our lobby bar and make an additional cocktail as well. So, we constantly have to be reinventing ourselves, make it fun, make it interactive and immersive. But we certainly encourage all guests to be able to enjoy that, but certainly locals as well.
Tell us more about Nashville Yards. We hear it's a 19-acre mixed-use development that features hospitality, offices, residential space, and retail all in one setting.
Yeah, so there's it's an impressive complex constructed by our owner, Southwest Value Partners. So there are currently 2 Amazon towers, a Pinnacle Tower, mixed-use residential buildings, a potential other hotel at some point coming in as well, a live concert venue that's already been announced. So retail. So really for our guests long term, as this continues to be developed, is our guests will be able to walk under the Broadway Bridge with our sister property, with our ownership, the Grand Hyatt across the street, all one complex, have a cocktail, walk around, do some shopping, check out another restaurant, go see a concert, and then a safe space, be able to come back and enjoy our hotel as well. So even, and I don't mind sharing this, in talks of adding kind of food court areas, pickleball courts, some really being able to kind of maximize that outdoor space as well. So even though we are in an urban center, it's going to really be a special place for our guests to be able to use and capitalize on.
We're talking tonight with Bill Simmons, General Manager of the Union Station at Nashville Yards.
Bill, I understand Nashville is a convention town. The American Bus Association arrives this weekend. Do you get any of that convention business or primary families, vacationers, and honeymooners?
Yeah, we get a little bit. That's a good question. We'll certainly, as a 125 room hotel, we'll get a little bit of an offshoot from that, maybe some runoff from the convention, as the convention center is less than a mile away, as kind of the hub of Lower Broadway from our hotel. But you mentioned honeymooners and kind of more of that transient crowd. That's been kind of our bread and butter, along with smaller groups, certainly throughout the week. What's also just really fun for us is you'll have couples who perhaps got married here 10, 15, 20 years ago, and oftentimes they'll come back on their anniversary or on a yearly basis. So we're doing a better job of tracking that, right? Because it's fun for us to make sure that we make it even more memorable when they return. But as far as our mix, not a whole lot on the convention piece. Although, quite frankly, some folks will be coming in for a convention, and instead of the preferred hotel, will want to stay with us. And we certainly take that as a huge compliment.
Oh, heck yeah. How close are you to the convention center, the airport, and the downtown hub where people can stroll the streets and hear different music at different venues?
Yeah, so we touched on that just a little bit right before, but our convention center is less than a mile away. We are on Broadway, right? So when people think of Nashville and they close their eyes and they think of the NFL draft a few years ago and almost 1 million people downtown, right? That is where we are. But what's kind of nice about the location of our property is we're not smack dab necessarily in the middle of that. So you can kind of escape, have a little bit more or peace and quiet, but certainly be able to walk safely right down Broadway to be able to kind of check out all the honky tonks and restaurants. And as Dan and I talked about the last time I was on the show, there's a little bit more of sophistication that's happening as well, where some very high-end restaurants, cocktail bars as well. So also 15 minutes to the airport. Don't let the news reports out there of bad traffic in Nashville scare you away. It's very approachable, and everything that you kind of need to get to from our location is within 15 or 20 minutes.
I'm from Los Angeles. I don't know what bad traffic
Yeah,
is.
exactly. There you go.
What are your peak and bargain seasons?
Well, we typically don't use the word bargain a whole lot, but I would say right now is a little bit of a slower period in Nashville. Certainly kind of after the holidays, kind of ramping up more towards that convention and when weather is a little bit warmer. So right now, if you're listening to the show, we'd love to welcome you in and show you that true hospitable spirit here at Union Station. But typically we do have kind of a ramp down in January, February. Around Valentine's Day, with the type of hotel that we are, that's a pretty busy time. And then, the city starts kind of really spiking back up, typically back in March.
Wow. Bill, is there anything you would like to add that we haven't asked?
No, just come to Union Station. We'd love to welcome you to our beautiful hotel. My job really is to be a steward of this very beautiful building hotel. Make sure that we're showing it off. This is a great avenue for us to do so. And I appreciate you both, Dan and Roger, for giving us a platform to do exactly that.
Oh, we thank you. And speaking of such, how do travel-rich listeners learn more about Nashville in general and the Union Station Nashville Yards in particular?
Yeah, check out our website, theunionstationnashvilleyards.com. We'd love to kind of show you what we can do for weddings, for restaurants, again, buyouts. There are going to be some images that are uploaded very shortly. That conductor suite that we mentioned, our full presidential suite that is just absolutely gorgeous. And really, just the last thing I would say is certainly we want to have you come and enjoy this beautiful hotel, but our other job is to make sure that we're giving back to this beautiful community that is Nashville, and making sure that we're good stewards of not only this hotel, but being a good partner with the rest of our other great restaurants and hotels and convention bureau here in town.
Our guest tonight has been Bill Simmons, General Manager of the Union Station Nashville Yards, a member of Historic Hotels of America. Great place. I loved it. I've been there a couple of times. I totally recommend it. Thank you, Bill, for being our guest on Travel Edge Radio.
It's my pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
And that's it for this edition of Travel Itch. Now, this is Dan Schlossberg along with Roger Noriega saying thank you for your time this time. Until next time, to our loyal listeners and their families. Next week, we will move northeastward and talk about Hoboken, New Jersey, which is 1 mile square. For now, good night and stay safe.